Hello and welcome back to Fresh BCSC Tech. In this video, I'm going to be going over a new feature that was also part of the October It's Learning updates. This one specifically is for the ePortfolio on It's Learning. So I'm actually going to toggle over into a student view. The ePortfolio on It's Learning is, as the name suggests, it's an electronic portfolio where the student can showcase some of their work online, pulling resources from their It's Learning courses and anything historically they have created that's saved and stored on their It's Learning profile. So these have been used traditionally in the past as part of senior project portfolios and presentations, but they definitely have a new look now and look a little bit more consistent with the rest of It's Learning. So for students and for staff, to get to your ePortfolio, you actually click your profile icon up here in the top right corner, and it's right over here where it says ePortfolio. And if you click that, it takes you to this view. So over here, you can edit your profile. You can add your email there if you need to, say something about yourself as well, and update your picture. The other things that are over here are where you can add a portfolio. So now you can have portfolios for all different classes. You can have multiple portfolios like you could before, but they look a little bit more clean and honestly resemble a Google site to some extent. So over here, I'll click Add a New Portfolio. I get to name this portfolio, so you can name it after your class if you would like to, or maybe it's just one for a specific school year. Right. I can pick from a couple different options here, and that's going to show up on my portfolio card. Right? And over here is where you can change some of the access settings. So by default, only the student can see their ePortfolio, only the person who owns it, but you can change it to where maybe your teacher or people in your course can see it, any user on BCSC's It's Learning site, or if you want to make it available to people who don't have It's Learning accounts, maybe parents, members of the public, or the community, the student could also change it there to where anyone can see this. And you leave it password protected if you want to have a password on it. If not, if you leave it empty, they don't have to have a password to be able to view your ePortfolio. So I'll click Save. And from here is where I can start adding and customizing things. So right here is default to the start page, and it tells me my settings right there as a reminder. I can edit my start page, and it's just like editing a rich content block on It's Learning. So I can add all different types of multimedia here. I can type about myself, maybe some goals I had for this school year, what someone looking at my ePortfolio would expect to see, some of the items and things I'm going to include within this ePortfolio. I can be detailed. And like I said, because this is a rich text editor, I have all of these options here. I can add video and record video and audio right here within It's Learning. I can pull web files, which are anything that I've made on It's Learning before. I can add slideshow presentations, whatever I would like to add. When I'm finished with my changes, I can save them there. All right. So that is my start page, but you can also add other pages here on the left-hand side. So I can add another page, and maybe this is for a specific class. Okay. And from here, again, I can add text and all types of resources. Category here, you'd have to set those up in advance. It just puts them into different groups, and you can organize your page in that way. You can also add comment or disable comments on portfolio items, and only people who have It's Learning accounts can add a comment. So that would be helpful if you're a teacher. You want to be able to give your students feedback if maybe their ePortfolio is their project. You'd want them to keep this open so you can give them feedback along the way. I can also add any files here as well. So if I have things saved on my computer or my Google Drive that I wanted to show as evidence of my work and my progress over the year, I could do that. And I would just click Save. So I'm actually going to pull something here from my Google Drive to give you an example. All right. The Jamboard. There we go. It was the student's work. Right, and it does take it a second to process. And I'll click Save. All right. So here's an example of what this page looks like. It's set up to where people can add comments. If I wanted to edit this again, I could. If I wanted to copy this page, I could also put it in other ePortfolios. If I had multiple ePortfolios, I only have one right now, but I could copy it to different places. So that would be helpful if your student wants to use a similar start page if they have multiple ePortfolios. I could also just share this specific URL to this page if I wanted to. I could go through this and keep making more and more. Categories on your ePortfolio are similar to folders almost. So if your students are making very extensive ePortfolios, maybe they have one ePortfolio for their entire time in elementary school or middle school or high school, then these categories could be used to possibly organize it by freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. So it's kind of up to you on how you would like to do that. But that is an example of how you can use the ePortfolio. And if you wanted to change your settings again, it's portfolio settings, and this is where you can change the image and who it's available to. If I go back to ePortfolio, I see I have my example there, and I can add even more of them here if I wanted to. So that's a helpful, exciting new feature on itslearning and really cleans up the look of the ePortfolio and makes it much more user-friendly than in the past. If you have questions, let us know.